Hey everyone, welcome to Azuria Plays. My name is AJ, and today we're going to be finishing up my journey through competitive Pokemon battling in the friendly tournament we took part in through Twitter. Last time, we blazed through the two final matches of the preliminaries and made it to the playoffs. If you lose any matches from this point forward, we'll get knocked out of the tournament and lose our chance at the championship title. Comment down below and let me know if you think I can make it to the finals, or even better, let me know if you think I have what it takes to snatch the crown. Our first battle in this episode is against Nate, the tournament organiser. The battle starts off with Nate sending out Kingdra and Politoed, while we start off with Tyranitar and Lycanroc. I'm sure you're all shocked. Politoed's ability activates, and a little drizzle starts to blow across the battlefield, but Tyranitar's lower speed stat means his ability activates second, and the rain is quickly replaced with a sandstorm. Perfect start for us. As I'm against the rain team, Gastrodon's ability Storm Drain will be of vital importance, as it allows her to redirect all water type attacks towards herself, while increasing her special attack stat and negating any damage she might have received. Nate starts off by recalling Kingdra and sends out the Seismitoad, while I send out Gastrodon to protect Lycanroc. Politoed then calls for Protect, causing Lycanroc's Rock Slide to hit only one of her opponents, dealing very little damage as the blow is resisted. Nate then calls for Dynamax of the Seismitoad in the hopes of dealing some serious damage to her team. Thankfully, Gastrodon's Storm Drain ability works in max moves, so her opponent won't be able to use Max Geyser to set up another rain shower and will leave us with the weather advantage for now. Lycanroc lets off another howl to bring more rocks crashing down across the battlefield, whittling down both of her opponents. Seismitoad counters with a Max Knuckle, which cracks Lycanroc square on, reducing him to 37 HP. And netting an attack boost for the opposing team. I was convinced the Focus Sash was going to be needed to survive that. However, our poor Rock Wolf is quickly taken out of action as Politoed follows up with a Focus Blast that takes away the remainder of Lycanroc's health. I suppose Lycanroc does deserve a rest after all the work he's been putting in for us so far. Having spent the start of the turn boiling some water, Gastrodon fires off a Scald at Seismitoad, but unfortunately we don't get the burn we were hoping for. We send out Ferro Thorn to replace Lycanroc, hoping to take advantage of our opponent's grass weakness. Nate recalls Politoed and sends out Milotic, and Seismitoad fires off another Max Knuckle which hits Ferrothorn, reducing her health to below half. The residual fighting energy raises both our opponent's attack stats. Having predicted the second Max Knuckle, we called for a Clear Smog to deal little damage while removing the attack boost from Seismitoad. Ferrothorn follows up with a Power Whip, which would have rendered the Clear Smog pointless, but the Rindo Berry on Seismitoad reduces the damage and allows it to hang on with a sliver of health, as Ferrothorn's leftovers restore some of the damage she took this turn. The opposing Milotic's Flame Orb kicks in, inflicting a burn, raising its defense stat thanks to its Marvel Scale ability. Seismitoad uses Max Knuckle once again, but thanks to the Clear Smog, the damage Ferrothorn takes is much lower. Milotic follows up with a Blizzard, which Gastrodon gracefully dodges, while Ferrothorn holds on with just 29 HP. Gastrodon uses the power of Mother Earth to blast Seismitoad out of the battle. Ferrothorn then attempts to counter with Power Whip, but she ultimately misses her mark as Milotic takes some more damage from her burn in the Sandstorm. Our opponent sends out Entei to Heliolisk to replace his Seismitoad. Knowing Gastrodon can deal with it relatively easily, we leave her in while we switch Ferrothorn for Zacian. Zacian's Intrepid Sword raises the attack stat, while Entei tries to take Gastrodon down with the Grass Snap. However, thanks to her own Rindo Berry, she only takes about 1/3 of her health and damage. Milotic follows up with a Surf, which only hits Zacian as both Gastrodon and Entei's abilities prevent them from taking damage from water type attacks. I presume Storm Drain would render it useless, but I guess it only stops single target attacks. Gastrodon then once again uses the power of the Earth itself to score a one-hit KO on Entei. Nate sends back out his Politoed to gain the weather advantage, but as none of our Pokemon rely on the sand, I call for Zacian to attack Milotic with Sacred Sword, which takes the Sea Serpent's health to below half. He then counters with another Raging Blizzard that reduces Gastrodon's health below half. However, knowing Gastrodon is vital to prevent a barrage of water attacks, I had called for a Recover, which brings her back up to almost full, and ready to take whatever her opponent might throw her way. Zacian starts off the following turn with another Sacred Sword to finish off Milotic, while Politoed tries to fire off a Scald, which I presume was intended to try get the burn in Zacian. However, Storm Drain redirects the attack, and Gastrodon's special attack is raised by another stage, allowing her Earth power to bring Politoed into the red. Kingdra enters the field, and I know it is the ability Swift Swim, so we now need to remove the rain to allow our Pokemon to outspeed it. I presume our opponent won't use any water moves, as he now knows that we have Storm Drain to protect us, so I swap Gastrodon for Tyranitar, hoping my hunch proved to be correct. This allows us to set up the sand, removing Nate's advantage, and Politoed calls for a Protect to negate any damage, as Zacian starts to play rough with Kingdra, scoring a knockout on the Draconic Seahorse, bringing our battle down to a 5-on-2. Nate sends out Lantern, and we immediately swap Tyranitar to bring Gastrodon back into the field to negate any water attacks. Once again, Zacian lunges forward to finish off Politoed with his trusty sword. Lantern fires off a Scald that was aimed at Tyranitar, but Gastrodon instead uses the Watery Blast to increase her special attack stat. On the following turn, Zacian once again gets to work, slicing and dicing the competition. His Lantern raises an Ice Beam, which blasts Gastrodon head on. Unfazed, she gathers her earthly powers for one final time, taking out her opponent's final Pokemon and winning us the match. With that victory, we've netted ourselves a place in the semi-finals. Our semi-final opponent is Chris, so let's head straight into the battle. Chris starts off with Grimmsnarl and Archibald the Arcanine, while we start off with the tried and tested Tyranitar and Lycanroc. Arcanine's Intimidate ability kicks in to lower our Pokemon's attack stats, which isn't ideal, as we have two physical attackers out on the field. Tyranitar then calls in a Sandstorm, which sets the field up perfectly for Lycanroc and his Sandrush ability. Knowing Grimmsnarl is generally used with the Prankster ability, allowing it to get priority on non-damaging moves, Lycanroc uses Quick Guard. This pays off immediately, as Grimmsnarl tries to hit us with a Thunder Wave to cripple their speed advantage. Archibald then decides to play rough with Tyranitar, dealing a little over a third of his health. Tyranitar then counters with a Rock Slide that cracks both opposing Pokemon square on, dealing decent damage to both of them. On the following turn, Archibald protects itself from our attacks, while Grimmsnarl makes use of his Prankster ability to set up Reflect, raising his team's defense. The following Rock Slide from Lycanroc only deals damage to Grimmsnarl, but we manage to reduce him below half health. Having protected the pattern of rocks from Tyranitar's previous attack, Grimmsnarl manages to leap to safety, avoiding any further damage. The Sandstorm then racks up some more damage on both of our foes to round off the turn. Grimmsnarl fails to hit with a Thunder Wave, as Lycanroc uses Psychic Fangs on Archibald to remove Reflect from the field, as the Rocky Helmet chips away some of his HP in return. Another play rough from Archibald takes Tyranitar down to 94 HP, as he repairs another Rock Slide that flattens the dog that serves Scott, removing him from the fight, while leaving Grimmsnarl dangerously low on health. The Sandstorm damage then kicks in, finishing off the demonic Massive Hair. Chris then sends out Indeedee and Venusaur to avenge his fallen comrades, and we contemplate attacking with a Fire Punch to deal some heavy damage to Venusaur. However, due to the combination of the attack drop from Intimidate earlier and the low HP, I decide to swap Tyranitar for Ferrothorn to be safe. Indeedee uses Protect, which I assumed was to stop a Rock Slide, but Lycanroc has instead used a super effective Psychic Fangs to deal massive damage to Venusaur. Venusaur then counters with a Petal Blizzard, and thanks to the Protect, Indeedee takes no damage, while Lycanroc is taken down into the red, and Ferrothorn only takes 11 damage. The Sandstorm, once again, chips away some health from the opposing team, before Leftovers and Black Sludge restore some HP to the two grass types on the field. On the following turn, Lycanroc starts off with another Psychic Fangs to take Venusaur out of action. See? I told you his other moves do get some use. Indeedee calls for an Expanding Force that's been powered up by the terrain, dealing a small amount of damage to Ferrothorn, while taking Lycanroc out of action. Once again, he served me well. Ferrothorn finishes up the turn by badly poisoning the Indeedee, limiting the amount of turns it can protect still. Chris sends out Morningstar the Espeon, while I send out Excadrill. Fearful of the damage potential of Expanding Force, I call for Dynamax of Excadrill. If I play this carefully, I might be able to manage to take down both opponents at once, so I call for Excadrill to target Indeedee, hoping it uses Follow Me anyway. However, the Emotion Pokemon instead uses Helping Hand to boost Espeon's attack damage. battle. Excadrill musters all his strength, raising steel stalactites underneath Indeedee, obliterating her in a single strike. Perfect. I'm not sure if that KO cancels the effects of helping hand or not, but Morningstar's expanding force brings both Ferro and Excadrill to around half health, while his Life Orb drains some of his HP. Thanks to Ferrothorn's low speed compared to Morningstar's higher speed stat, Gyro Ball's base power was rather significant, and a single blow managed to take down Morningstar, leaving us in a 5-on-1 battle. The following turn starts with Chris Dynamaxing his final Pokemon, Urshifu. I always struggle to tell these forms apart, but I think this is the water variant, which gives us the advantage if Ferrothorn can last long enough to get off a Power Whip. Excadrill fires off a Max Quake, which decimates Urshifu's health, leaving him with about 1/3. Determined to fight till the bitter end, Urshifu sets about Ferrothorn, taking her down to just 62 HP, while raising his attack stat thanks to Max Knuckles' side effect. Ferrothorn then seizes the opportunity to strike the weakened Wushu Pokemon, earning us a spot in the finals. In all honesty, I never expected to make it this far, especially after my opening match which I nearly lost. Unfortunately, our finals opponent has asked me that the match isn't shown on YouTube, so I'm afraid the full tournament footage ends here. The final match pitted us against a Trick Room team, which is the one type of team that I have feared facing, as we rely heavily on speed. However, after some mind games, and opening with Zacian and Excadrill, some excellent usage of Psychic Fangs to remove Aurora Veil, and a Sandstorm damage finish, I brushed the competition aside without Trick Room ever being activated and 4 of my team still standing. By using our tournament's ranking, Nate has set up a Pokemon League on Twitter which is open to challengers. You can find all the details over on Twitter, and you can comment down below if you're interested in taking part. If you're Pokemon Wiz or just a casual battler, why not come along and see how far you can get, and see if you can dethrone me to take my place as the league's champion. We have 8 gym badges for challengers to collect, as well as keys for the Elite 4 members that allow you to access the Champions Stadium, so feel free to come and have a go. I hope you've enjoyed the tournament mini-series, and keep your eyes peeled for future videos of my championship battles, where you can spy a look at the different teams that you might be pitted against, provided that I haven't lost by then, that is. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and in the words of a former champion, smell you later.